Chancellor has put forth. Not only the Chancellor, but also the Vice Chancellor, Dhrubajyoti Chattopadhyay, and our Chancellor, Shottam Rai Chaudhuri, who was very keen to see that this architecture department grows. And we are also kind of agreed, and I joined as a head of the department only last year, and this year we are hoping to have a substantial amount of students with us, and also we have lined up a very nice young and old faculty, which includes me as well, so we intend to do this and take this to a certain level, because not very many people can actually get in to our government universities and colleges, which are very few in Bengal, West Bengal, and therefore I feel that the private university kind of fills that vacuum that is necessary in our whole educational system, where millions of people are there to get educated. I will not barge on and talk at length about that, but what I would now try to formally introduce Dr. Abu Sayeed, for which we have all gathered today, is that Professor Abu Sayeed Ahmed graduated in architecture from BUET, which is a fantastic college in Dhaka, and obtained his master's and doctorate degree from the University of Karlsruhe in Germany. Currently, he is the Dean, Faculty of Environmental Science and Design, University of Asia Pacific in Dhaka. Dr. Sayeed served as president of the Institute of Architects, Bangladesh, for 2 consecutive terms, and president of the Architects Regional Council of Asia, which is popularly known as Arcasia. He's engaged with several restoration projects, of which I've seen only a few, in Bangladesh, and is actively involved in the heritage protection and preservation movement in Bangladesh as a national consultant to UNESCO. And if I may add, my working on heritage as an architect, that it is equally challenging and equally exciting and equally creative when an architect gets into conserving old buildings. An architect need not always build new buildings to get the satisfaction of creation. I think an architect can also get the satisfaction of creation even by restoring an old building. That I think we more or less share together. I leave the platform to Dr. Abu Sayeed Ahmed, and I welcome everybody who has already gathered. There's already 32 people. I think more and more people will join in, but they will miss the first part. But I leave the platform to Dr. Abu Sayeed Ahmed to deliver his presentation to us. Looking forward.
Thanks, Architect Monish and my friend. Special thanks because you have opened up a scope actually to share the knowledge of conservation between East Bengal and West Bengal, or Bangladesh and West Bengal actually. Frankly speaking, Architect I met him in 2002 in Sri Lanka probably, and since then he told that we have cemented our relationship, but I should say not cemented actually. He's one of my mentors, actually main mentor in conservation. He gave me support and always any technical knowledge. When I need something, then I rang him and he gave me support. So he's one of my mentor, I should say, in conservation practice in Bangladesh. Thanks, Monish, to initiate this session. I have to go step in my presentation and open up my presentation. Wait for different.
You can keep your video on, but not the mic on.
Where's my presentation? Sorry, I cannot find the present. Yes.
Yes, it's there.
You can see. Press the start. Yeah, you can see.
Can you see my presentation? The first slide?
Yes.
Okay. Today I will present something about my some work, actually architectural conservation practice, how I am doing here some conservation work. But before going to that, I have to say a few words about the Bengal. Well, we know we both West Bengal and Bengal, we have the common cultural identity and common history. And the Bangladesh is the largest delta in the world. We can see a lot of water bodies are flowing here in my slide. It says around 400 rivers crisscross the whole country and end up in Bay of Bengal. And these rivers brings us fortune for our economical, social, and also political reasons. Actually, I should say this rivers is our fortune. Actually, in this slide we can see the rivers. We can use reserve for fishing purpose, for communication purpose, even for agricultural products, for spices, on rice, and all of we know that each and every square inch in Bangladesh we can cultivate. So this is one of the rare countries in the world where each and every square inch can be used. For this reason, from ancient time, we had a very special export material. It was called spices. The spices, what we know for cooking purpose, it is not for the cooking purpose. These spices were used for medicine, for medicinal raw materials, even for preservative. In the left side, we can see all the things. These spices could be used as preservative. Even in literature, we find during the mummy, they used preservative and imported from our area. This slide it's a very famous slide. We can see the finest textile, finest silk in the world was produced in Bengal. It is called muslin. And now I will show two things. There is two business route we have had in ancient period. One, the name of the one business route was Silk Route, other was Spice Route. Spice Route was not so familiar, but we know everyone the Silk Route. In my slide, actual presentation, is the top one. This is the Silk Route, and the bottom one is the Spice Route. And this spice route was connected in some places. They collected spice and then exported to other countries up to European. But most interesting thing, there is few points where the spice route and silk routes were connected by rivers. And all the ancient civilizations were started from that connecting river. From the left, we can see the Egypt on the bank of Nile, river Nile. Then Mesopotamia, the bank of Euphrates and Tigris, and then Indus Valley civilization. Indus River, all the 5 rivers. And the last one is the Wangho Bayuri River. All the civilizations, they were started around 2500 BC. But one missing link we have, the Ganga River civilization. But I am sure when our archaeologists will doing lot of job on excavation, one fine morning they will find the relationship with all the files. Only this one is missing. The last one, Ganga Riddhi civilization, it was already written by Ptolemy and other historian and traveler. From this slide, this is one of the oldest world map. From here we can see here is Bengal actually. All are deltaic countries, Bengal. Bengal has connection with China, with Russia, and the left side with Indus Valley civilization. This map was published in 1650 by De Barros, and 1650 means they have worked for 100 years back actually. From 1550, this is the situation in 1550. In 1550, we have connection with Europe, China, and Indus Valley civilization. It means Bengal was located on the have had a communication advantage. For that reason, our economy was very flourished at that time. And unfortunately, we don't have evidence. We have evidence only for 600 BC. Recently, the Jahangirnagar University has excavated one site in our country. It says dated 6th century BC. But we can relate something. It's a one step well. The first one is dwellings and the step 12. And our students are working for measure drawing, architecture student from our university. And this is the product, all the drawings. And I'd like to concentrate this slide. On the left, beads in the found in Wari Poteshwar. And the right side, these are Harappa Mohenjo-daro. But we can find a lot of similarities from the beads. So this is the missing link within the 5 territories. So hopefully next generation can find out all the missing links what we have in our from the ancient times. But after Wari Poteshwar, we have other evidences, 4th century, 3rd century BC, and later on. This is the Buddhist monastery. This is the largest Buddhist monastery in Southeast Asia, located in Paharpur. This is another view from the Paharpur. And these are the Bengali Renaissance in early Islamic period. The Buddhist architecture, and this is the revival of Buddhist architecture. I termed this early Islamic. During the early Islamic period, in the medieval period, lot of mosques were built actually, with especially a unique type of mosque, which have no relation with the development in Delhi or other region of India. This is the really provincial architecture, special type of architecture they have developed. Fortunately, only the religious structures are still remain. We don't have any evidence of any secular structure. And these are the temples, historical temples. And during the Mughal period, whole Bengal were dotted with lot of mosques. These are the example of mosques in Mughal mosques. But up to the early Islamic period, all the monuments are listed by our archaeology department. Even the Buddhist monasteries, all are listed, and they are the custodian for restoration on everything actually. But unfortunately, the Mughal monuments actually, only a few Mughal monuments are listed, and the rest of the monuments are not listed. Only the fort and big projects are listed, and they are under threat because originally they were built to serve a small community, but nowadays, due to the increase of population, they need more space. They need more space for the worshipper to perform their daily prayer. So they have two options. Either they have to destroy and build a new mosque, or if they have some respect, in some cases, local people have respect. What they do? They're encompassing the original one. Nobody can see the original wall. Only the bird's eye view, we can see the original one. It was surrounded by new construction, which has no relationship with Islamic architecture or Mughal. But they need huge amount of spaces because the number of worshippers increased. This is the main challenge of our country, to conserve all the mosque architecture. So at the beginning of my presentation, I will show 2-3 mosques, how I can conserve them actually. But fortunately, we have enough land. That's why we have such kind of solution. The first example is Uttar Halishwar Mosque at Chittagong. This is the case. Most of the Mughal mosque or the ancient mosque is surrounded by wide veranda. Nobody can see it. The client, they invited me to rebuild a new mosque because they need more bigger spaces. Then I've seen this is a very beautiful old mosque. And fortunately, they have a piece of land at the behind the mosque. Then what I did, I proposed them and they agreed to remove all the verandas, all the frontal verandas. At the first, I have removed all the frontal verandas. And after removing some plaster, we can see the original masonry, lime masonry building it was. And then we have restored that building. And there's another side. It's covered by veranda. Now we can see this one. Even as a conservation, our main ethics or strategy is to preserve as much as possible the old original material. We can see some of the material, this is made of terracotta. We want to preserve it. This is the original things. We make some replica, then we have used with original and new. We have retained as much as original materials and elements. And this is the background of this mosque, the new mosque. Plain and simple. In the frontal one also decorative. As a background, we have designed a new mosque. Architect Kashif Mahbub Chaudhary has designed it. In between, there is a plaza. In between, there is a plaza between the two mosques. There is a dialogue with the plaza, actually, the connectivity with the old and new. And this is from the new. This is the one way to preserve our ancient mosque. Everyone is too happy. And the second one is Dholeshwar. It's a family mosque. It's built around 200 years back. And in the frontal, we can see there is a veranda, a lot of things. Then they want a bigger space. But in this case, we don't have free space in the behind the mosque. But luckily, we have a huge space in the frontal side. Then the same architect Kashif Mahbub Chaudhary, this was the after restoration, this one. This was the after restoration. And from this slide, we can see this is the new construction and the old construction. In the west wall, the architect has, as per our requirement, they make it transparent so that during the prayer, they can see the old one. And this is the dialogue between old and new. This mosque is another addition during the colonial period. So this is the veranda. As per our conservation strategy, we have to retain or preserve all the development built from different period also. So we have retained all that because it was also 80 to 90 years old veranda. So I have also preserved these things, although it is a colonial, not an Islamic elements. This is the one view from the inside to the dome. Now this mosque is converted as a maktab. It's for the children. They are using it for learning Quran in the morning. And here we can differentiate the old and the new after restored and before restoration. This is another mosque. It's a not complete mosque. This is my ancestral mosque from my hometown where I came from, in Kumilla, the name is. In this place, there was a very 200 years old mosque. But unfortunately, the whole mosque was demolished and new mosque was built. This is the new mosque actually. But fortunately, they have preserved the original boundary wall. And from here, we can see the main entrance gate. And they have preserved even the central mihrab. So what we did, we restored the three element boundary wall, gate, and the mihrab, and designed a new mosque. So in this slide, we can see The boundary wall, the red one is the original. Even the platform, Ghatta in Bengali, we can say that there is a water body behind us. But we preserved these three things and restored the three things. And then incorporate all the old elements in a new mosque architecture. This is the original gateway after restoration. And this building was plastered with cement. Then we have to remove all the cement, then again plastered with original techniques, lime masonry. And it was the mihrab. The left one is the original mihrab, then this is the restored mihrab. And this is the mosque. From the outside, we can see all the original gate and the boundary wall. And this is an articulation of the mihrab from the western side. This is the gate. And this side is the graveyard, especially this is the graveyard of my father actually. For that reason, I did an open punch here. This is the family graveyard. And they're praying or they're facing towards the Qibla. And the central mihrab, which was original, when they get out from this mosque, they can see the original gates. This is the Mughal mosque. Now I will show some examples. The most challenging job in our country. This is all the colonial buildings, how to conserve. There's a lot of challenges. And I'd like to say something about the colonial development. In Kolkata, we have monitors working hard to preserve the Dalhousie Square on a lot of public building you have in Kolkata. Because Kolkata was the capital of, during the colonial period of Bengal or Eastern India or whole India that time. So the architecture developed in Kolkata is exact facsimile from a lot of buildings from England. They borrowed the idea, even the architect from England, and make a replica in Kolkata. All the public buildings that's facsimile or similar with what developed in the colonial period. So the architecture in that country or Kolkata is as same as Brisbane or in York or any European city or any colonial city. There's no difference actually, because that building were used by the ruler, British ruler. So they built some building which is exact facsimile or they used to that building. But there's a big change in Eastern Bengal or present Bangladesh. And it was happening due to a special rule. The name of the rule is permanent settlement. We know what is permanent settlement. The British government have fixed up the tax system. This is the tax system in the permanent settlement. Then each and every jamindar, they have to pay a fixed amount of tax. For example, 1 lakh taka they have to pay. It pays end of the day, the British government a huge amount of tax. But what the jamindar did, they want to earn more money because they have to pay a fixed amount of money, 1 lakh. They try to increase that income at 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, and try to introduce a lot of new rules, sunset rules and other rules to accommodate more money, because they have to pay only a small amount of tax and the rest amount is in their pocket, left in their pocket. And they become very rich and richer and wealthy people actually within a short time. When someone has huge amount of money, and this is the dresses actually. They wear European dress, but they are Bengali people. They have Bengali blood. When they come to the home, their wives are Bengali. They have Bengali culture. So in their building, the facade is European, but the inside is Bengali. In the whole Bangladesh, then what they started build their own residential building. Each and every jamindar, at the beginning, for the first, they built their own house, huge jamindar houses. As a result, whole Bangladesh is dotted with jamindar house. Each and every upajala or even big village has a jamindar palaces. These are the examples. Each and every village has such kind of small or bigger. When there's a big city, there's a bigger or big jamindar. Where the territory is big, they have constructed a bigger building. But our challenge is this building. How we'll conserve this building? Every day, there is a demolition program, either by the government or by the private. They want to build new buildings to demolish all the colonial buildings. And with the architects, we have a lot of group. They are fighting against these demolitions in Dhaka city, even a smaller city. Actually, not only architects, lot of historian, journalists. We are camping for protect all the colonial buildings, but it's very difficult actually. And now I will show some examples. If you can build few examples how to restore, then probably this restoration project we can use as a role model for the people who own it. They can say they can retain their heritage as well as they can earn money. So we can show something, and we are doing that. And this is the first colonial building in Dhaka city, the Nimtoli Deuri. Architect Monesh was involved in this project as foreign expert. He guided us. And this is a gatehouse in Dhaka city. There is a palace, Nimtoli Palace. And this is one of the gatehouse of that palace. There was a 4 gatehouse, only one palace, one gatehouse still remain. Now it is located in the Asiatic, within the boundary of Asiatic Society of Bengal. And now it is Asiatic Society of Bangladesh. And just after cleaning, we can slowly see the original color comes. And after restoration, we can see here, these are the original plaster, and we have removed all the loose plasters. Then deplastered again, replastered again, only that part, broken plasters, and the original we have to remain. But we have completed this building in 2012 or 13. But unfortunately, last 10, 12 years, it was remain as well. But luckily, 2 years back, this building was again repaired, renovated, and a new museum was installed in the whole building, the Museum for Naib-e-Nazim. Then I'll show some process. Actually, at first we have to take some photographic documentation, and this is one thing. This pillar, after deplastering, we could find something new bricks inside the wall. Then we removed all new bricks. Then we could easily restore the original base or pedestal of the pillars. And this is the after restoration. This picture was taken in 2013. Now we have other images actually. Even this building was used for several functions, actually, for residence, for guardhouse, for caretaker or museum curator. And they closed most of the windows and introduced new window. Then we have to remove all the window seals, and down it is after restoration. In the roof, this is the present condition of this building. It's a museum for Naib-e-Nazim. And we have used some wooden tiles because we don't know the floor materials. So these tiles can be removable. This is one interesting example. What I said, there's a lot of small buildings, old buildings in our countries. Each and every village, we have such kind of building. Less ornamented, plain and simple building. The condition of this building is very poor and we can say risky also. This is the one building. It's the same case. They invited me to make a weekend house, or for their, it's a big family. This whole compound belongs to a big family. They want to convert, demolish this old building and make a weekend house or for their family purpose. But the building was so interesting. The condition actually is very dangerous actually. Even the walls, broken, Strangler freak. Some roofs were broken. Even the bats were there. Just to have cleaned all the vegetable and all the plants, plantation around the building. Then after restoration, and it's a before restoration, we can see the condition of the building. Then after restoration, it was the before and then. After deep plastering, we can see a lot of cracks, especially on the top, in the middle of the arches. Then we have to, by brick stitching, we have to repair all the cracks. And then use, in some cases, new roof. In some cases, we have to repair the roof with original techniques. There's a huge boundary wall. And it's a tradition, each and every house was built on the bank of a small river, a small pond actually. And that pond must have a khatla or platform. The platform was broken, we can see here. Then we have repaired the platform or the khatla. This is the new one, restored one. And there is a small building actually, it is we can say only 20% walls remain and the rest of this is, there is no existence actually. So we have retained all the original walls, preserved as it is actually. Just clean this area and preserve as it is. Now this building is for the whole area, for the small village. A lot of people from outside, they come to visit this building. Even this family has a long link actually. They have a lot of ancestor or people, connected people. Then everyone now visiting this one, they find their identity that they were in the identity crisis. Now everyone go to the house and see their original buildings and they enjoy. And this is the big family. They own this house. And this is an ongoing project. This is another Kachari Bari. This one, probably everybody know that in Bangladesh, the financial year is June. 31st June, we have to finish this building. And this building is actually located in the home place of our Honorable President. For his personal interest, actually, we have to establish an independence museum on that area. So he has selected this old building to establish an independent museum. And this is the building actually. This is our proposal and to convert it into a museum. And the last one is the biggest one actually. We have started in 2012 and first 1 year we did a lot of research, drawing, documentation, conditional survey. From 2013 to 2016, it took 3 years around to complete the whole building. It's a huge, big complex actually. This picture was taken in 78 actually, yeah, 1978. It was in ruin, this whole campus. Then our Shilpacharya Jainal Abidin, the artist Jainal Abidin, he during the in the 74, he requested the then Prime Minister or President Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur to convert this whole area as a folk and crafts museum or village. And in 1978, the archaeology department has restored this building. We can see there's no roof, and the archaeology department, they have restored this building. And they have restored in 78. And we have started in 2012, and it was like this up to 2012. And as usual, we have to make measure drawing, and it's a huge complex. This whole complex comprises 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buildings. We should make some photographic documentation. Each and every element we have to document. And this building, after undertake a research, actually, we find the beautiful history of this building. The phasing of the building we have identified. This building is known Boro Sardar Bari. Boro Sardar Bari was built by a Marwari named Gopinath Jio. He's a businessman. He's a Sardar. Sardar means he's a muscleman. He's a big businessman. Because very close to the Chonargarh, there was a port. He was the chief person of the port, businessman. He export, import. But originally, everybody knows this is a colonial building and built in 1903 or 05, only 100 years old building, Boro Sardar Bari. But after doing some research, very interesting history came out from that building. Then we find in the first phase, there was a small building. This building is very similar to another building we find in that area, Sonargarh area. The other building is named Musa Kha Gate. Musa Kha is the son of Isa Kha, it's a Baro Bhuiya. During the Baro Bhuiya time, they built a lot of buildings in that area. Because Sonargarh was the first capital of United Bengal. So in 1338, Bengal was united, and Sonargarh was, from Sonargarh, they declared the independence and established Sonargarh as the capital of the United Bengal. And after that, after 200 years, the Baro Bhuiya, they occupied the whole area. And only this building was revived from the site. And later on, they built 3 buildings behind that small gate and 1 small slit building. These 3 buildings were used, after our research, we find the small 3 buildings were used not for residential purpose, for a small industry or handloom or small for handloom industry or any other industry, industrial building. The 3. Probably they have produced muslin or other crafts for Sonargarh area. Then they used this building after Mughal period or Baro Bhuiya, end of Baro Bhuiya. When Baro Bhuiya was defeated by other people, this whole area was left abandoned. Around 200 years or 300 years, this whole area was left abandoned. Then in the beginning of the 20th century, 1903-4, one Jamindar, one rich people, Sardar, bought this complex. Then he cleverly built this white one, he built for his own purpose. And again built a circulation veranda to connect all the 3 buildings. So our goal is to restore that parts. And later for the functional use, after independence, after the conservation done by our archaeology department, lot of small elements were added. Store room, office room, entry, roof, this is. In the main gate, this one. And our goal is to restore the original things. Original means before all development was developed before independence. Then after we have started, this is a staircase they have used for that purpose, for functional purpose. We have to remove the staircase. After removing the staircase, original lime masonry, we have finished with lime masonry. Then this building was cladded with chimney tikri. I'll show you later on what is chimney tikri. At first, we have to deplaster all the walls because the walls were plastered by our department with cement. The lime masonry building, they need to breathe. They have to absorb moisture. Then the lime masonry, they will convert it into stone even when they can absorb the lime. But when you put cement on it, then they cannot absorb anything. Moisture cannot go through the cement because cement is very strong bonding or hard material. So our job is to remove all the walls, all the surfaces plastered with cement. And then we find a lot of walls were filled with, then as usual, we have to open all the openings to restore the original things. And during the last restoration, fortunately, they have preserved all the original I-beams, but they constructed the roof with RCC construction. So what we did, lower down all the I-beams and insert again purlins, so that at least the people can see the construction system, although the roof is made by RCC construction. But now when some visitor can see, oh, original structural system was like this, Kori Borga. The left on the before restoration and after restoration, we can see this. We have inserted all the Borgas. And the right one is the building, which is 600 years old, was built during the Barubhuja time. From here, or we can see it's a Mughal influence, there is no floral ornamentation, only recessed and projected, or everything was done by plaster. And the left side is a colonial development. The gap is around 300 years gap actually, construction. And the left side is the colonial, and the right side is the Barubhuja or late Mughal. Oh, sorry, early Mughal. And there is another thing is a cast iron. Especially it was developed in Kolkata during the colonial time. But during the restoration time, they have removed all the cast irons and introduced just iron bar and. So we have selected one which is very close to this one, this original one. Then try to make it. In the old city of Dhaka, there is a lot of industry. They can make this sand casting system actually. These are the cast iron. At the beginning, we ordered everything, but when all the material came to our site, we feel that they are too heavy. We cannot use this kind of material, cast iron, because we are skeptics, or we are worried whether the whole building can take the load of the all the cast iron. And what we did actually, we used the same technique, but changed the raw material. We have used West aluminum. It looks similar, but the basic ingredients is compatible aluminum. It is weather free. So it looks like the original. This one from aluminum actually, but it looks like the original cast. Very light. We have changed the material, but techniques and design as it is. This is one ornamentation that I have already mentioned, Chinni Tikri. It was developed in old city of Dhaka. Chinni is ceramics and Tikri is tukra. At first, we got some examples from the left side, the top there. Then, with the help of computer, we tried to generate the original plate. Which was the original plate? How it looks like. With some pieces, we make like the puzzle. And we could complete some portion, and other portion we can, with Photoshop, we could complete the plate. And our intention was to produce this plate again and break it down, put it on the surface. But fortunately, we got a lot of materials in one of the buildings in the west area, actually in the old Dhaka. They have removed all the things. Then we collected all the materials used in our buildings. And this is the all Chinni Tikri. It's a very time-consuming job, actually, a very skillful job. And this is after completion. And during our documentation, we can see here two colors. The yellow one will be restored, and the black one was in situ or was existing. So each and every drawing, we have to use two colors actually. The to be restored and the original one. Even here we can see the yellow so that we can estimate properly. Our masons did lot of ornamentation, but in conservation project, our architects, our team members, they have given support for each and every ornamentation job. They make some stencil. When the ornamentation is very small, then they use with a normal paper. When it's little bit hard, they use plastic board. Even when the ornamentation is very big, they use acrylic sheet, so that it was very easy for the masons to work to make original ornamentation. The left on the original one before restoration, and right one is after restoration. And here my video is not working. Okay, video.
Is it working now?
No, it's not working.
Yeah, we have to
Yes.
bear with
Your
technology
battery
can
is
be.
very low. Battery is
Yes,
very
now.
low.
Yeah,
This
battery
is the process actually. Yes, it's working now.
ব্যাটারিটা অন করো, ব্যাটারিটা প্লাগ করে নাও।
Okay.
I welcome Nalini. I could see Nalini Thakur who has joined us. Thank you, Nalini, for coming.
This is the local ingredients, betel nut actually. And this is the molasses in Bengali, you can say rab. We have to use the tamarind, tetul, with the lime actually. This is the traditional way of making the plaster. And we have to leave the plaster for at least 1 to 2 months. And after 2 months, we have to make the finished material with fine powdered brick and lime.
अच्छा
This is a lime fanning process. This is the finishing of the lime plaster. It's the finished material. No color, no adhesive, only traditional adhesive were used. And in this area, originally we can see this frontal courtyard was covered by a roof, maybe corrugated sheet or something. Some proof is already there and the evil is there. And in some places, we retain some original broken elements, broken parts. But nowadays, this area became very famous for the foreign tourists also. They are making a lot of functions in this area. Converted into very public spaces. The frontal veranda, and there's a staircase, the single flight staircase. The construction of the staircase is so beautiful. That's why we want to show the construction system, how with the arcuate system, they have built the staircase actually. Only the floor covered by wooden plank. And the wave, it's the biggest challenge. This wall was tilted around 6 to 7 inches because there is a water body very close to this building. Then we have to insert the frictionless pile so that it could be retained. Then, as a normal technique, we have to making stitching. This is some landscape outside the building. The small courtyard in the behind, it was not covered. And this is the most interesting building. The middle one, this is a 500 years old building. The construction system was so beautiful. So in our strategy, we want to show the visitors the construction system. So we have removed all the plasters, cement plaster, and leave as it is to show the people how the construction system was. It was the arcuate system, flat arch. Flat arch was a very beautiful, typically arch should be like this, but this is a flat arch. Even the roof, the radial, have placed the radial brick, inclined brick with the radial. On this place, we left exposed actually for the to show the visitor the construction system. There's another small intervention because this building was developed in different phases. And the right one was built earlier and the left one built later on. We got some proof actually, some references in this area. There's some ornamentation there. Then we have revived the original one and make a small slit so that the people can understand the interlink between the two development. Of course, we have introduced some new material. For example, this is a metallic thing. This door is very low, only 5 feet low. So the corner can be broken. So we have to use some metallic. So, and this is the frontal court. The people can know the history. We have a model on other material which we find as a display. And it was before restoration, and after restoration, it looks like this. This is a public park. And this whole building, we have to address the universal accessibility and installed one small lift, low speed lift, so that the elder people and then disabled people can see the building. And there's the ramp, so they can use it, the wheelchair even. And it is also an interesting solution. The other side of the building, other side of this water body, there's one side and the other side. So this water body is so close, people can take picture of this building. So we have decided to make a platform on the other side of this building. Originally, there was a boundary wall. After the boundary wall, there's a main road. And the boundary wall have some concrete buttress. We cannot remove the buttress. So we have to cladded all the buttress and make a public space. All the buttress are here actually. This. We have only cladded the buttresses. Make a beautiful public space, number one. And number two, people can see the whole vista of the whole panorama of the building from the other side. From that side, they can see the building and they can take pictures. And there's a small lighting so that the building, behind the building, this was the original, the 500 years old building, and frontal wall is only 100 years old building, colonial building. These are my mentors, masons and masters. I have to learn a lot of things from them because I don't know, I didn't have any experience of traditional masonry, traditional mason, traditional technique, how to repair the brick bonding, and they taught me. And this is a collaboration job with the masons and now we have to think about the livelihood of the people. They have to have some work, otherwise they cannot. They have to switch the profession. So our main goal is to retain all the craftsmen. Now we have trained around 100 pupils. They can work whole of the Bangladesh with different projects of archaeology department. And this is also one of the goal of conservation, to revive original technique, to revive original building material, which is more sustainable than present cement works. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Sayeed. That was fantastic. Before I say anything else, I would like to mention that we have amongst us Dr. Nalini Thakur from Delhi, and I'm sure she joined in because of the interest. She's one of the first person who kind of started work on conservation in the country. We are all learned from her. She still is very active, and welcome, Dr. Thakur. Yeah. Even Joydeep Da is there. Yeah.
I know, Nalini, good to see Nalini. Nalini, you're turned off. You're muted.
You have to unmute yourself. Nalini, you have to unmute. Your microphone has to be unmuted. Yeah.
So
I think she will work it out. Yeah, she will work it out. Please unmute it.
And I was at the Shadarbari
now
2
I
years
managed.
ago.
Yes.
Thank you
there
very
you go.
much, Mani.
Thank you.
You know, the thing is, I came to know, I saw the link very late, so I joined late. But I
Right.
would like to know more about the work that has been done, because I think
Yes.
it's only now that we can say that in India or South Asia, work is actually being done in conservation. You know, earlier I don't think it was very. They were all, compared to the earlier. Now there is some work done by many people in many parts. So I am interested in following all that, because that is really now,
Wonderful.
that makes a lot of sense. That's why, and I thank you very much, Professor Saeed, for your whatever. I thought it's very interesting. I would like to see more, maybe on the internet, if it is possible.
Have you been to Bangladesh? Have you been to Bangladesh, Nalini?
No, no, I haven't.
I didn't think so.
I haven't been to
So we
Bangladesh.
should
No.
go. We should go.
Yeah.
We should go to Bangladesh. You come to Calcutta and we go together.
Yeah, welcome all of you,
Okay.
Nalini and Monesh also.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I now open the discussion for on this fascinating range of projects that Dr. Saeed has attempted and worked and succeeded in delivering, which is very important for any practitioner. For a theoretician, he need not deliver other than getting it published in IEEE magazines, right? But I think for a practitioner, it's very important that it is open to discussion, open to changes, open to new thoughts and ideas, and so on. So I think that is the beautiful part. You constantly learn from each of your projects, and that is, I think it's very revealing. And often, if one is open in its minds, they can improve upon and change in due course of time. I would now like to have some questions which are already there in the chat box. Starting with some basic question which Joydeep has mentioned. How the public space is very successful. Joydeep mentioned you need to plug in your computer. Yeah. What is the general awareness? What is the general awareness of the value of old in Bangladesh today? Not yesterday, but today. What is the general awareness of the value of old buildings and places in Bangladesh today?
It's difficult to answer actually. General awareness is very positive from the general public, but from the top, probably you are aware, in the Dhaka city we have very beautiful Hindu Jamindar palace. It's named Rupal House, very big, located on the bank of the river Buriganga. Just only 15 days back, someone started breaking this building and started new construction. But fortunately, we have introduced a lot of laws actually. Even you will be happy to know that we have introduced TDR. Probably within a short term, TDR will be passed by our government. Then we can protect them. Otherwise, it is very difficult because the land price is too high. The 3D developer, they're offering a lot of money actually. They can demolish all the things. But in public level, very aware. Even in the journalist level, they are very aware actually. But if government level is difficult, but I should say we are fortunate. The mayor of the South City, one of the election agenda was the Oitijjet Dhaka, heritage of Dhaka. He has 5 agendas, manifestos. Number 1 manifesto is he have to preserve all the heritage of the Dhaka city. And he started construction. This is the positive thing from the policy maker. And recently has taken initiative to restore one of the Lal Kuthi. It's a public hall where Rabindranath was inaugurated, reception was given to Rabindranath event. the Northbrook Hall. He started restoration of this taken initiative. So this is the positive thing. But with a professional, I'm a little bit skeptic about our professional, because a lot of young architects, they are demolishing and making proposal for new 10-story, 20-story building actually. Our professional is not totally aware. This is the problem actually. We should introduce a lot of courses in our school, in our academy, and we should be aware of that, how to preserve and what to preserve, what not.
Yeah.
And then we can convince the policy level.
I think, Sayeed, you would agree that there has been a growing awareness in this part of the world, where the concerns that kind of bothers people is more housing, more development, to which linked the prospect and the opportunities of the people who are engaged in that process. Now, that is one thing which I think has gained momentum both in India and in Bangladesh,
all over the world,
and all over the world, which is a growing phenomena, and I think there will be more and more awareness. But the issue of, I think, in the course of the discussion, we will have not only the TDR but also a way of showing people. Your project of demonstration perhaps is a good demonstration of how old buildings which are discounted by the people are brought back to the mainstream of using it, of making a benefit and getting advantage out of it, and yet at the same time keeping all the process of restoration intact, not at the expense of doing the restoration authentically as much as feasible. So that is, I think, is a big challenge which the entire Asian countries are kind of grappling and trying with some success and some failures. But here is a question from Rajshahi, where somebody says that a lot of buildings in Rajshahi, we have to move away from Dhaka, like we have to move away from Calcutta, because Calcutta has dynamics of urbanization is much more. But there are some beautiful buildings all around in the districts. And Rajshahi is, of course, he says that, are there any groups working for conservation awareness in Rajshahi? A lot of buildings were brought down mercilessly to expand roads. This is by Samuel Sabbir. Others to build ugly new buildings. There's still few intact, we in risk as well. So have you been to Rajshahi? Have you done any projects in Rajshahi, Dr. Sayeed?
Yeah, I've been in Rajshahi several times. This whole area, the original name of that area is Borendro. Borendro area is very famous actually from historically, started from Lokhonchen and even from the colonial period. They have even the oldest railway station in our country located in the Rajshahi division. So Rajshahi is, I should say, this is a, how could say, khoni,
it's a mine, golden mine.
It's a gold mine actually for heritage site actually.
Yes, and I think next time when I visit Bangladesh, we should go together to Rajshahi and meet Samuel and see what are the organizations. There are groups working there as well, like the awareness groups and like you have in.
Yeah. In Rajshahi, one or two architects from Rajshahi, they are working in Dhaka, but they have published one small books on the heritage on Rajshahi, so that they are starting working not as a campaign, but they have published a small books on Dorosbari mosque, so to the Rajshahi people from Rajshahi actually, architects from Rajshahi. But one is interesting thing I'd like to mention here, in the border of the Rajshahi. The original capital of the Bengal, Gaur, is located on the border of Rajshahi. 20% of the Gaur is located in Bangladesh and 80% located in West Bengal. If we can make a no man's land, it will be one of the best things for both countries. It's a cultural bonding. Then every country, they can visit from this side to other side. They can enter to the no man's land and huge Islamic monuments. And in the Gore, everybody knows it actually. Adina Mosque, one of the biggest mosques in the subcontinent, is
Yes.
located in Adina. So
Yes,
it
yes.
should be, we should start a campaign how to
Yes.
make this whole Gore is the no man's land.
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
need any visa to go north. All visa
Yes.
area can go outside the Gore, so that every visitor, every tourist can see that.
Yes. Now, you have a question from Siddharth Dudoria. He's from a very renowned family from Mushidabad, the opposite side of Mushidabad, in fact. Mr. Dudoria, are you there? Mr. Dudoria? Right. So
Yes,
I asked his question. Yes.
I'm here.
Mr. Dudoria, I'm asking your question, which you have put in the chat box.
Yes.
Welcome for coming. And he asked a question, said that it's a little technical in nature. Can trees that have overgrown on a building, like in Angkor Wat, be removed without breaking down the structures?
Yes.
Yes, this is a challenge for tropical country. We have lot of strangler figs, you know. The strangler fig, we have to remove the strangler fig, but we cannot pull it down because at first we have to inject some poison or chemical so that it dry up. When it is dead and dry up, then we can push it. Otherwise, whole masonry will be disturbed actually. So we have to take special measure to remove the green roots. We cannot cut it down.
Yeah. In Bengal, in West Bengal, you know, there are a lot of chemicals that are there,
Yeah.
which if you can put, will not only make the trees die, but it will also make the mortar and the masonry, adjacent masonry, also die in the process.
Uh-huh.
So what happens is we have to use not these inorganic chemicals, but there are some organic chemicals like hing. We have got this hing in our country,
Yes.
which actually is a much more slower process. So you have to take it in a cotton and put it where you want your trees to come out. And that kind of slowly gets into, because it's more affinity of this particular organic chemical is more towards organic items, right?
Interesting.
So it actually takes in. So the hing is a very good substitute, and there are a lot of biocides today. There are a lot of experimental biocides, which
Okay.
which can be also seen as an option. Yeah, Mr. Dudoria has
Thank
got
you.
innumerable number of properties in Mushidabad, and so I think Sayeed, you visited Mushidabad before, isn't it?
Yeah, I visited Mushidabad there.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
Fascinating place actually.
So next time we go, we will go to their houses, which are fantastic. Yeah.
That will be so good.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah.
be so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, you have done a fascinating project. Every structure you restored. There have been a lot of compliments, and I had some specific question. I was very fascinated to see your picture of all these workers in one of your later slides. Like we have in Mushidabad, a lot of craftsmen, which are still prevalent and they can do wonders. Where in Bangladesh you find concentration of good traditional craftsmen?
Pardon, I cannot hear properly the last sentence.
Where in Bangladesh do you find, like in Mushidabad in West Bengal, do you find a large concentration of craftsmen in Bangladesh?
Okay, this is a big challenge. It was a big challenge for me to identify the craftsmen, because it's very interestingly, there is some locality in Bangladesh. The people from that village is specialized in specific job, nature of job actually. For example, in Paharpur, the people around the Paharpur, the masons around the Paharpur, we term them brick dresser. Do you know the term brick dresser? When you give them a brick, They can make any form from the brick, like the stone carver.
Okay.
Like the stone carver. This
Right.
people is known brick dresser. All the people in and around Paharpur, they can make different type of molding form out of brick.
Right.
Even in Chapai-Nabganj, very close to Rajshahi, after Rajshahi, they are very expert in masonry, brick masonry, exposed brick and plain plaster. Only they can do only plain lime plaster. But when we need ornamentation job, we have to go to Nauga, people from Nauga. Each and every, even the small people, the new one, he has an artistic quality. He can make the floral ornamentation. I don't know how it's developed in our country, but there is a special area with specialized with form of cards. What I did, we have to mapping this from our country actually, where we can find what kind of craftsman actually. Then it will help the next generation or our future.
So where is the concentration? Which district in Bangladesh has got most?
Rajshahi.
Rajshahi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, Rajshahi actually.
Yeah.
Nauga, Nator, Rajshahi. Greater division
Okay.
of Rajshahi. This
Yeah.
concentration.
I remember there's a fantastic book which got photographs of various buildings across Bangladesh, of Nator Rajbari and other Rajbaris, by John Sanday. And John did this wonderful, it's a very small little book which has got about 100 or 200 buildings. Maybe that is something which we should revisit and see how many of them are still there and how many still needs kind of a support. And I have, let me see some other question. Amazing information about techniques. Dr. Sayeed, you've done fantastic, fascinating work. Bring me back to my first question. What is the effective? Samuel, are you there? Samuel Sabir?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Right. Can I see you? You
Yes,
seem to
sir.
be quite into Rajshahi's.
Hang
Can
on
I-
just a minute.
Can I see? Yeah. Okay. So he asked, this brings to the first question, what is an effective and sustainable way to preserve, repurpose non-religious secular buildings that are privately owned, not officially recognized, but nonetheless a part of history?
Okay.
What do you do? By the way, what do you do, Shamil?
I teach architecture here at
Right.
Rajshahi University of Engineering and Technology.
Right. Okay.
Adaptive reuse is the best way to adaptive reuse is the best way and sustainable way to preserve a building. In Bangladesh, we have a lot of small buildings, but if we restore it and we can use this building, we can rent it out even for tourist facility, because we don't, especially in our case, actually in Bangladesh, we don't need to depend upon the foreign tourists. We have local tourists. They need some places to stay, to spend their holiday, 1 day, 2 day, or so. If in every locality, if there's some facility, tourist facility, they can go there, they can visit an old house. And this is one way we have to earn some money. And secondly, legislation actually. They need some government rules and even support actually. If they restore one building, they should give tax exemption, municipal tax exemption, a lot of incentive. They need some financial incentive so that they can retain. Otherwise, we cannot preserve our building. Financial incentive from the government, adaptive reuse, and it should be commercially used. Then this building can be sustained.
One of our faculty asked a very pertinent question called Professor Enanku Shekhar Rai. He's from the former BE College, and he's very much a part of our newly formed architecture department. He asked, how do you address the landscape around the building with respect to the original scheme associated with the building? And so that is a very crucial and very interesting. And Ankuda, you would like to elaborate? Mute.
Yeah, it was a fascinating, fantastic, amazing presentation. I was remembering I was in Delhi for 26 years. I recently, came back to my hometown, Calcutta. And believe me, at least 6 to 10 times a year, I used to visit Humayun's tomb and the Sundar nursery that has come up beside Humayun's tomb. The landscape issue that has been addressed so well there. So I was just wondering if you could actually let us know how do you address the landscape around the projects that you usually do. I understand that probably in most of the cases or many cases you don't have that opportunity because there's not much of open spaces around it. But when you do it, how do you address that?
This is the most difficult question, and it's an unresolved question actually. This is only one sector that unfortunately I cannot do because only Mughal. There's a Mughal landscape. There are some research. After Mughal, unfortunately, we don't have any research how the colonial landscape, classical landscape we have, but typical Jamindar palaces, they don't have standard practice or research actually. What we did that. As because I don't have authentic landscape design from that side, and then we took some strategy. Number one strategy, we have to use all the local plants, local grown plants, not even any foreign plants. This is number one strategy. As design, I'm not sure actually. We don't have any research in this aspect. And secondly, as we don't have any clue or authentic landscape in our country actually, we can use only local plants, local herbs, then it looks tropical landscape. But as far design concerned, it's very difficult. Actually, I don't have any answer because it is unresolved. I'm looking for if anybody has some publication on landscape, then it will help us actually, because it is a one sector.
Okay.
I would like to bring in Nalini because, Nalini, wherever we went, which are protected by our Archaeological Survey of India, we find our landscape occasionally and mostly, a vast green lawn in front with flowers jutting out.
Yeah.
And what do you have to say about the landscape which forms the context for our historical monuments?
It depends on the monument, because I have actually been sort of developing the concept of what is called an archaeological park. That is in plain terms, it means that the area around a monument should be a cultural park. So this park has to also see in terms of the way it is managed, the planting and everything, that it actually maintains the values of the monument and the site. So that should be the approach for the outside in the garden, and that it needs research. And slowly, you, instead of saying heritage park or saying a landscape scheme, please call it an archaeological park, because that is the one that you will remember all the time. What should be your approach for the context of a monument? Because I'm very strong. Very strong about this, and I feel very passionate about this. And I think the only reason why that Angkor Wat will survive, because it is called an archaeological park. That means everybody, every generation, especially when you don't have, it's not easy to get protection. Your linguistics, language and definitions for the area around has to be very correct. Actually, I can tell a lot about what this archaeological park is because I've been working on it for about more than 30, 40 years now. And I do know that Champaner Power Ghat, which we got into the World Heritage and sometime in 2004 or something, it's the whole forest area has been made into a archaeological park. So the site is an archaeological park. Now, I think where I got the better of ASI is that the site itself is where the abandoned capital of the Gujarat Sultanate is below that. And only a few monuments are up, that is what are the mosques. But the whole capital of the 14th century is below this. So now if you want to take care of it, you have to somehow find a networking to be done with the forest department because it is a reserve forest and they are in charge. We can't go around saying get rid of them and all that. As you mature, you learn you can't do all that. So by calling it an archaeological park was the first step. After that, actually, we try to pass a legislation for that site as an archaeological park, so that it will be, so then your stakeholders and all what you talk, it becomes very specific for that, for the park. And you can also tell very clearly what will be the role of each of them. And we do need to make some changes because as the way it is, totally with the reserve forest and the forest, it cannot, that underground heritage and the standing, buildings, if it is not protected, cannot be protected.
Absolutely.
That is what
Absolutely.
I can say.
Absolutely. There is before we I think we are already 7:35 and it's Bangladesh, it's about 8:05. And we will take one more question, which is I think a very seminal question in terms of Bashubi Pal asking, who was not initially hearing, but later on she wrote that she's started hearing. Bashubi Pal, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm very much there, listening.
Right.
I'm all ears. Thank you for this brilliant presentation and getting to know such wonderful people who are into this work. I'm really very fortunate, sir. Please.
Yeah. After we take this, I will have two things to discuss, which is a larger issue. So Bashubi Pal asks, is there a substitute for Chunshurki?
Is there any substitute?
Yes.
Can the others put their mic?
I think there is no substitute from Chunshurki. Cement is not the substitute of Chunshurki, but nowadays it is very difficult to procure the original shell lime because in our environmental ministry given embargo to collect shell from the river on the one side. On the other side, we need the shell at least for the finished material. From the basic material, we can use slack lime. But the shell lime from the lime party will be the best one. But it is prohibited in our country. We are not allowed to collect shell lime. So this is difficult. We have to rely on the slack lime. But substitute of limestone for the lime masonry building, I don't think so. Any substitute actually. Cement is not a substitute. But I don't. If you have any idea, you can share with me. I don't know.
Yes, I would love to know because I try in my own means to maintain a bit of history in that area. Monishta knows about it, most probably.
Right.
It's a Sharafuli Rajbati, and which has a relevance also to the history of the Baro Bhuyas of Bangladesh. So that's a long, long history. So I'm just trying in my own small way to contribute.
Bashubi, I would like to add I would like to add, this is very tricky question.
Yes.
You must have seen my work in Rampur.
Danish Tavern.
Yes,
It's a
and
wonderful-
also the church. So
Excellent work.
lime is not, there's no substitute to the lime because it's a fantastic material.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Unfortunately, our climate, our pollution at the road level and so on are so high that it becomes very difficult for individual projects.
Yes.
When you do a project for somebody else who pays you, and you find there is some problem which occurs within, say, 6 months, you feel embarrassed. And so a lot of experiment was done of lime modified product, both in Italy and in Germany and in other parts of the world. So those are very technical things which can be discussed at a more personal level.
Yeah.
Right? How do we engage the community in restoration of any building? I'll take this last question. Dipanshi
Thank you so
Singh.
much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. How do you engage the community in restoring a building in Bangladesh?
Yeah, this is a very important, pertinent question actually. If you don't involve the community, and it is a top-down system actually, we have to involve somehow the community people. Otherwise, this conservation will not be a sustainable conservation. Especially in our country, actually in Paharpur, if you include the community, it's not only the restoration. Restoration is a one part actually. If we want to sustain this building, we have to develop other thing also. Peripheral thing, how the tourists, they need some places to stay at home, stay at night, or they have to sell something. Whenever we go to anywhere in Bangladesh, we find artifacts, Chinese artifacts are selling in the archaeological site or heritage site. We should develop our product. We should develop our pottery. So the community people can help us to produce the local product actually for selling the tourist actually. So we have to involve the community. Otherwise, it will not. There's the how we'll involve. Number one, we can involve the people who are living surrounding people. They can convert their home like the Nepal. They can convert their home as a small hotel. They can offer food for the tourist. Even they can help during the restoration people in supply a lot of elements, even the information even. When I started restoration in Shonarga, the first job was to make an oral survey. This oral survey helped me a lot. What is oral survey? Because this building is only 100 years old. So I find a lot of older people, they have some affiliation with the building. So I have asked a lot of questions, how the color was, whether they saw some basement or anything else. And after giving the reply, they thought they're the part of my team. It was so beautiful impact just for an oral survey. I undertook an oral survey, and then they come to me during the work, they see me. And I give another example. In Dholeshwar, I restored one small old building. It cost only 30 lakhs, I could say, in Bangladeshi Taka. In Karaniganj, I have shown one building. Another, the new building, it was 5 crores actually. 20 times expensive than the small one. But this whole complex belongs to a parliament member, a politician. He told me, due to the restoration, he earned a lot of respect from the local people. They thought this old mosque belongs to them. New mosque is not belongs to them. It is superficial. It's an imported thing. It's a European thing. But the old mosque, they thought this is their origin. So the restoration has a lot of way to involve community actually. That's about the restoration.
Yeah. I remember, Dipanshi, I remember.
Yes, sir.
something little corollary. I'll take this. Dr. Sayeed, I'll just narrate a particular incident that occurs into my mind. I was taken to an archaeological site by the Archaeological Survey of India by my very good friend, Dr. Ota, Simadri Ota, who retired from ISI 2 years ago as a Deputy Director General of ASI. He was one of the finest archaeologists in the country that we have seen in the recent past. We went to Goshani Mari, a place in Kuch Bihar, and the way there are a lot of work that is possible to be done by the villagers themselves.
Yes.
But he engaged them, and they were the protector of the site. They were also doing some of the works which Dr. Ota made them do. But he could do it because he went from an institution, a government institution, to work. There is no tendering. There is no contractors being selected for a work, right? Now, moment you select a contractor for a particular project, it becomes his or her choice that who will he make the work to be done with. So it is I always thought of how to initiate this. Maybe in the tender document we can put clauses, as they do in England, that you have to appoint special agencies for, say, tiling. You have to appoint special agencies which will be decided by the authority before appointing. So similarly, if we can put these clauses in our tendering process while selecting a contractor, perhaps some of these works can be distributed to the immediate local people who could also do it, right? So that is very important, because often what happens is our restoration project becomes isolated from the rest of the people around it. It happens. It happens. Like big projects, the city people are always inquisitive of what's happening there, because the first thing any big project does is to put a boundary with tin sheds. Okay, so it's a good idea to put sheds, tin sheds, with some gaps in between, because it's very important to gain the confidence of the people towards a project for which you have gone. But there are a lot of other issues. Engagement of people, people's mind is very difficult to understand. Somebody very interestingly, who worked extensively with people, said people never participate. People are made to participate, right? So there are polemic discussions, there are other discussions that can emanate from there. Before I conclude, I have taken a challenge of setting up this School of Architecture. And I intend to, with all my resources, all my support, and all my intentions, to make it a good School of Architecture with specialization in this very emergent and required field of conservation. I am seeking partnerships. Can you think of partnerships, not necessarily from the east to the west? Can we think of partnerships between Calcutta, Sister Nivedita University, Architecture Department, and Bangladesh's Abu Sayeed's College University? Because I think that channel of education is the most interesting and non-threatening channel. Because the moment, that's why I always refuse to do any work when I take myself out of Calcutta to another soil, right? because I think external expertise has done a lot of harm to this country, and therefore a lot of good as well. Therefore, I would think of a partnership. This is subjected to your more further discussion.
Okay.
The second partnership is, can we have a training program of traditional methods of restoration, the knowledge that still is prevalent in Bangladesh and the knowledge that still is prevalent in India?
Yes.
Could be a wonderful exchange of craftsmen. So you can identify some of the good craftsmen from Bangladesh. We can identify some of the good craftsmen in various sections and various sectors. And we can do some exchange program, and we can perhaps see who can support this, which organization to go with forward, right? And so that is something which I would look forward, because I know that Dr. Abu Sayeed is a very simple person. At the same time, he has got a huge amount of credibility in his own country and at all levels. And therefore, I would say, I would rather request and urge to you that if we can do this, this will be fantastic collaborations of learning, deciphering, knowing, and implementing and demonstrating, and that will make, I think, a better environment for conservation in this part, because we are so linked geographically, culturally, food-wise, many things, literature, films, landscape. I think we understand. So there's no problem of going and spending 6 months learning German, or learning French, right? Or learning Italian, right? So I think that could be a wonderful thing to happen. Please ponder for partnership at an educational level and partnership for craftsmen's level. If you have any reactions, otherwise,
yeah, of course. Thanks, Monish, for proposing a beautiful proposition. Actually, this is very important for because you know better. Actually, when I have faced any problem, I rang you or ask you how I can solve it. What is the tender document? Everything. I learned a lot of things from your experience, actually. But if we can share these things and we can disseminate with other young people, it will be helpful for the young next generation, actually. It's a new subject, I should say. Conservation is a new archaeologists, they are doing this. From the point of architects, it is, I should say, this technique, we should disseminate this knowledge to students. So how we will disseminate? Number one, a master's course or any course can be, we can offer a joint course, actually, joint degree. So we can offer a joint course. We know we should take the advantage of the COVID, the new normal. Now world is so in our hand, actually. We can talk online, we can take class online. We don't need to have physical presence, actually. We need the policy level thing only. So we can work on it. And second one is the training of the craftsmen. Communication between the two level of craftsmen. We can do it, actually. I don't think so it's a big deal, actually. It will help us, actually. Especially, for example, when I can find a small project, I can invite 1 or 2 craftsmen for your country, then make a training session for 7 days or 10 days. That's all. It is, I think initiative is important. Implementation, I don't think so. It's very difficult. But initiative, you have initiative this, propose this thing. Of course, we can do a new, new contribution, actually.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody who joined. Finally, it reached the figure 50. People has so many online presentations that are going on these days. People's times are divided. So I know to get 50 people is not it's not a least achievement. It's quite a big achievement. And I think a lot of people came because of you presenting this, because a lot of people in the world and in this part of the world knows that you have been consistently working in this area. Thank you, everybody. We would like to have, and thank you, Joydipda. It was fantastic to see you, and we will work. I could see going back to Vitruvius.
Yes. Yeah. Any help you need, anybody, just talk to me. So we can take it forward.
Yes, that will be wonderful. That will be wonderful. We need your people like yours for cooperation and support and advice. And Nalini, I was thrilled to see Nalini today, and so on and so forth. So that's fantastic. And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Manish.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have an open invitation to all of you.
I have something to say.
Yes.
And
yes,
that
please.
is to Manish. Whenever you visit next to meet Dr. Sayeed, please take me along with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
I
can
have a
walk.
long cherished desire to go to Bangladesh.
We can walk into
open invitation, Monesh. I have an open invitation to everyone. Whenever you come to Bangladesh, please ring me. We can spend a lot of time actually together.
But we have to be very careful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful in one matter, and that is, there's a new entrance. We have to be very careful about Bangladesh, going to Bangladesh without any purpose, because you can land up doing everything but without your work. You can get fed and you can get so that is something which is dawat and all. Yeah, I could see Mrs. Chakravarti with Joydeep. If I am not mistaken, this is from Calcutta and Bangladesh.
Nice, very, very interesting talk.
Yes, wonderful. So we close it here. We will keep you posted. Don't get bothered if I send you mails again for another session of lectures. Please do attend if you can, and if you have chances, and there's no conflicting seminars in between, because these are some of the things. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manish.
Thank you.
আর কথা হবে।
Thank you, Nankoda.
মনীষ দা আসি।
ভালোই হলো আজকে, খুবই ভালো হলো, খুবই ভালো হলো।
আপনার সামনে দেখানোটা একটু ঝামেলা ছিল।
না, ভালো হয়েছে, খুব ভালো হয়েছে, খুব ভালো হয়েছে, and the participation was fantastic.
হ্যাঁ, পার্টিসিপেশন ভালো,
খুব ভালো।
ওকে, মনীষ দা আসবেন কবে আবার?
আসবো।
তারপরে দেখা যাক।
আসবো। এখন আমার জ্ঞান হচ্ছে এই আর্কিটেকচার ডিপার্টমেন্টটাকে কিরকম ভাবে দাঁড় করাবো, বুঝতে পারলেন?
আপনি কি মাস্টার্স প্রোগ্রাম চালু করছেন নাকি?
নেক্সট ইয়ার।
ওকে,
এটা নিয়ে কথা বলবো।
হ্যাঁ, এটা নিয়ে কথা বলবো না, আমিও কথা বলবো।
ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে।
ওকে, খোদা হাফেজ।
ওকে, খোদা হাফেজ। Hello? Hello?